Hello everyone, my name is Zenitsu, and I'm back with another episode of Spoiler Sundays. So this is the time of the week where I take a look at all of the news and spoilers that we got over in Japan, and, well, talk about them. So before I get into the brand new cards that got shown off with the beelzemon starter deck, first we do have a new set that got announced. And yes, I know we're not exactly into BT12 spoiler territory yet for Japan, and they're already announcing new sets. This is a very common thing just because the way Bandai prints cards, they usually want to announce their sets early so that way stores can start buying them up, so that way they know exactly how much of that set that they want to print, because Digimon, for the most part, isn't really a print to demand type of a game. They'll just rely a lot on pre-order numbers to fulfill allocations, and then have an extra amount of percent that they print on top of that. So getting this type of news isn't necessarily that shocking or surprising. So as far as what the new set is, well, it's going to be another EX set, and it's going to be EX4 Alternative Being. So this set is going to be centered around Omnimon Alter S, so I'm guessing we're probably going to be getting a new Blitzgreymon and Crestgarurumon in the set to accompany him. What colors he's going to be in and how strong he's going to be is to be determined, but as far as what this EX set is doing different compared to a lot of the other EX sets, because they do make some minor tweaks and changes between them, is the fact that this is going to have 2 less commons and 2 extra SRs. So the extra SRs are going to affect how the box art ratios are going to work if they're going to be accommodating them to change based on these extra SRs. So I'm excited to see what the set has to hold when we get to it, and for those who are wondering when the set is going to be released in Japan, it's going to be coming out on December 23rd, which means that usually we're going to be seeing it around 6 months later, so it's going to be in the summer for us in the English language. But as far as the English release schedule in terms of where things are, if you're wondering if things are moving too fast, well, they're not really moving that much faster than what we haven't seen already. So as far as just a quick look at our breakdown in terms of our schedule, in October 14th, we're going to be getting the starter decks 12 and 13 that are going to be released as starter decks and not this premium set deck that was sent to big box stores. So that's the LGS release of those starter decks, and that's when those starter decks are going to be legal. On top of the fact that BT10 did get a delay, it was supposed to come out on October 14th, but now it's going to be coming out on October 21st, 1 week later. So that's when we're going to be seeing BT10. EX3 is going to be coming out on November 11th, so that's about 3 to 4 weeks later, which isn't uncommon for an EX set because, well, it's an EX set. They usually release these twice a year, once in the summer, once in the winter, and this is the winter EX set. It seems like the EX sets and booster sets kind of have their own independent release schedule, so usually this type of an overlap isn't uncommon when it comes to different set releases. So after EX3, we have a huge dry spell of the EX3 BT, and we're going to be waiting till February 17th to be able to play BT11. So that's when BT11 is coming out for us, and March 24th is when we're going to be getting the beelzemon starter deck. It's weird that usually they pair up starter decks with set releases, so they're just treating this deck as something special, just because it's going to be accommodating its own color-locked event, so they're really trying to hype up this starter deck. But as far as when we could expect it BT12, this is just my speculation. We're probably going to be seeing it sometime in April or May territory, which is about 2.5-3 months later from when BT11 came out. And then as far as when we could expect EX4, usually it's going to be about 1 month later from the latest booster. So it's going to be in that May, June, or July territory, depending on when BT12 actually gets released. So it does seem like things are moving fast, but they're moving no faster than they have been in the past. But as far as the new cards that we got spoiled this week, we got a pretty light batch just because there's not that many different cards in the starter deck, so they're really trying to pace the starter deck this time around. So as far as the brand new cards, we got 3 to talk about, the first one being the Dex Dedicated Tamer, which is going to be a new version of I in Mako. So I in Mako is a 3-costed purple tamer with an on-play ability where we get to reveal the top 4 cards of our deck, add 1 Digimon from among them that has Evil, Wizard, or Demon Lord in its traits into our hand, and then return to the rest to the bottom. So this is just acting as a really good consistency tool for the deck, which just helps obviously the deck flow and function. On top of the fact that its secondary ability is pretty decent, where during your turn, when a Digimon digivolves into a purple Digimon, we could suspend this tamer to return one card from our hand to the top of our deck, and then gain a memory. So it's just allowing us to try to line up our mills, so that way when we try to mill specific cards, we're actually able to do so, to be able to get rid of them from our hands, instead of trying to rely solely on Wizardmon to be able to do that, which is going to be coming inside of the starter deck. So having multiple instances of this type of ability to line up our mills to get our mill based effects is just super nice, on top of the memory generation that comes with it. Next, we got a new version of Witchmon. So Witchmon is a purple level 4 Digimon. Stats aren't anything too special, and she has a nice on digivolving ability where we get to trash the top 3 cards of our deck. So she's just continuing the mill type of gameplay that the deck wants to do, so that way we could try to fill up our trash as best as we possibly can to be able to have our trash have a specific number count or above, so that way our abilities can be online as quickly and efficiently as we possibly can. So this is a pretty decent card at doing that, and it even has a nice inheritable skill for our higher level Digimon, where during your turn, while this Digimon has Wizard or Demon Lord in its traits, then it gets plus 2000 DP, so it can make our Digimon stronger, and this is just generic trait-based support, so any higher level Wizards or Demon Lords could take advantage of this type of a card, and it doesn't need to be specifically hardcore focused around just Beelzemon. And then the last new card that we got shown this week is going to be a new version of Beelzemon Blast Mode. So this is going to be the Dex level 7, and I actually think this is a pretty decent card. It's hard to decide whether this is better than the old Blast Mode or not, because they're doing two different things, but they're both still very powerful cards that want to synergize with the deck. So for a purple level 7, he could evo for 4 on top of a purple level 6 and has 14,000 DP. So he's a little bit cheaper to evo into, but he's a little bit weaker stat-wise. And he has a nice ability for when we mill him, where when this card is trashed from our deck, then we get to delete one of the opponent's Digimon that's level 3 or lower, and then we could increase the level that this card is targeting by 1 for every 10 cards in our trash. So this is basically just acting like a Death Stinger on our mill trigger, which is pretty decent, just adding some extra removal possibilities and capabilities into the deck. And then on top of that, the actual ability we're trying to use on the card is his When Digivolving ability, where we get to unsuspend this Digimon, and if we have 20 or more cards in our trash, then we get to gain 3 memory. So we know that with the old EX2 version of I and Mako, then we're going to be swinging with our Beelzemon, so it's going to be in a suspended state, and then that allows us to then pay 3 to digivolve into a Beelzemon Blast Mode. So even though it's not that much of a savings, just the fact that if we do have 20 or more cards makes that evolution free, and we can unsuspend that Beelzemon, means that we could have some pretty powerful synergy, especially in combination with the new Beelzemon, to be able to give himself security attack +1 to be able to deal some good damage. So it seems like that's the direction that this kind of a card wants to go into, but I think it's just a pretty decent level 7 for the deck in general. Again, I don't necessarily know if this is better than the old Blast Mode or not. This is just a good complement for how Beelzemon wants to play, making sure that people still have easy access to a level 7 to at least make use of those types of cards, versus having no access to level 7 and some of those abilities just being useless and hanging around for nothing. So, switching gears and hopping back over to some English news and announcements, we actually did get a second Aniverssary set that's going to be up for sale on the Premium Bandai website. So if you're unfamiliar with the Premium Bandai website, this is just where they have some special goodies that they sell directly to the consumer, depending on the territory that you're in. Sometimes they'll actually go to LGSs, but regardless, these are just some nice reprinted cards that are coming out in English. So as far as what this set is, well, you're going to be paying $100 for basically everything you kind of just see here. So you're going to get a playmat, you're going to get 2 sets of sleeves, you're going to get all of these reprinted cards, you're going to get more reprinted cards of the Frontier stuff, and you're going to be getting a box that holds it all in. So as far as the gold foiled reprints that we're going to be getting BT1 War Greymon, BT1 Magna Angemon, BT1 Omnimon, BT3 Imperial Dramon, BT3 Craniamon, and BT3 Lilithmon. Then we're also going to be getting BT1 Holy Wave and BT3 Breath of the Gods. Then we're also going to be getting Promo Pack 00 in gold reprinted foiling, so it's nice to be able to get those types of cards in players' hands, especially since these 4 right here are going to be where the majority of the value is in terms of singles value. Then on top of that, we have the Digimon Frontier card set, which is going to have the main cast from Frontiers in beautiful alt art forms. So the one thing to note is the fact that the Lobomon and Agunimon are going to be the promo versions that want to synergize and interact with their respective ancients. And then as far as the rest of what we're going to be getting a nice special playmat, and we're going to be getting 2 sets of sleeves that are Digivice themed, which we kind of saw with one of their other Bandai Premium products before, and a nice storage box to store it all in. And if you're wondering about the playmat size, well, here is the playmat size. So I don't think it's going to be a large playmat. It's going to be more of their smaller playmats just with a memory gauge, which is always nice because they didn't have memory gauges on a lot of them before, and a lot of people really liked the built-in memory gauge. But in terms of, is that kind of a product really worth your money? I would actually say yes, it is, considering a lot of those cards are really needed reprints or really demanded reprints just because they are pretty popular cards, or cards that are harder to find because the majority of them are in 1.0, which is a pretty expensive box, and it was the first booster box that we got released, and the fact that some of those cards are still meta playable just means that they're going to have a higher price just because those cards are no longer in circulation. So taking a look at all of the high value cards from the set, in terms of if it's actually worth it, I just threw it all into a TCG player cart. Again, this is as of the recording of this video. Prices are always subject to change, but right now, if you were to buy all of these cards individually, you'd be spending roughly about $200 for them all, and the fact that you're also getting a playmat, sleeves, and deck box as well means that your money is definitely well worth it. So as far as the expensive cards go, we have Magnum Angemon. They're using the alt art version, so that's the price comparison I'm going to be using, but the base art is only like $10 cheaper, which isn't that much cheaper considering the card is currently sitting at around $50 right now. Then we have War Greymon. Its alternate art, again, is being used, so that's the comparison that I'm going to be using, and it's sitting around $30. Omnimon from BT1 and his alt art is currently sitting around $50. Lilithmon and her alt art is currently sitting around $40. Craniamon and his alt art is sitting around $5. Imperial Dramon Dragon Mode and his alt art for that version is currently sitting around $4. The Lobomon promo is currently sitting around $3. The Agunimon promo is also sitting around $3. And a lot of the other cards that I didn't list are going to be around that $2 range if you were to get to the base version. And it's kind of hard to speculate on the Frontier cards considering the revision pack just came out and there's alt art versions of those, but it's a different art and I'm not using the alternate art for the Pokemon and Nemon as well, so I'm just using their base play version. But the fact that we have new alt arts for them definitely make them super appealing and only add to the value of what this product is. So value-wise, I do think that this set is worth it purchasing, and it's up for purchase for a limited time, but I really only think that it's good to purchase if you're looking to try to get any of these specific cards. So I know that Magna Angemon is the biggest winner of them, considering he's one of the cards that had the least amount of reprints and has the least amount of accessibility, which is why his price is so high, especially coming from Special Booster 1.0, which was our first booster set. So if you're looking to pick up any of these cards or just want to try to flip it, I do think that this is still going to be a pretty decent set to want to try to think about buying into. So that's all I really have for this video. As always, feel free to tell me your thoughts down in the comments below, and down in the description below are a couple of different ways you could support me and the channel. So I do have a TCG Player affiliate link, so when you use that link to buy cards off of TCG Player, then some of that money will go to supporting me and the channel. I also do make and sell playmats over on Overcard Gamers on Facebook, so when you buy a playmat with my design, then some of that money will also go to help supporting me and the channel. And on top of all of that, I do have a Twitch account over on twitch.tv/Zenitsu, so giving me a follow and a subscription also helps support me there, and I do play Digimon on top of various other games on that platform as well. So thank you everyone for watching, and as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content, and I'll see you in the next video.